Just wanted to talk, that's all.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. How you doing? We got several voicemails to get through tonight, but I'm going to set the table first, and we'll kind of talk about what we're going to talk about. Our prospects have been getting a ton of attention this spring. They've been playing well, and usually the prospects do get the bulk of the attention at this point in spring training. The older guys are kind of ramping themselves back up, and there's really been two guys that have been getting the most attention, but there's three prospects that we got to talk about because one of them is our number one prospect, and, you know, he's got some things that he's working through, but our top prospect is Jasson Dominguez, probable starting left fielder. He went deep yesterday for the first time this spring, and it was a nice shot. He's rounding into form a little bit. Impressive home run, just to the left of dead center field as a left-handed hitter. Kind of reminded me of that home run he hit against Seattle last year. Spencer Jones had a great spring last year. He's hitting over 400 this spring. Hit another home run yesterday. And last year, after he had that great spring, he kind of disappointed during the regular season. I mean, if we're being honest with each other, he disappointed. The strikeout rate was over 36%, far too high. That would translate to probably Joey Gallo level numbers in the major leagues. And so this offseason, he went to work and he basically tried to recreate Aaron Judge's swing mechanics from the left side because they're a similar height, similar body style. And so far this spring, he does have a couple of home runs and the power has looked incredibly easy. The leg kick is very reminiscent of what Aaron Judge looked like in the early part of his career. It's gotten a little bit different for Judge as he's gotten a little bit further along. Lombard Jr., I've been pondering whether he could be the answer at third base for the Yankees in 2026. And the better he does in spring training, the more people are saying, well, why not this year? Well, I was listening to the Michael Kay show this afternoon, and if you haven't listened to it, he said that he spent some time talking to scouts for the last few days about these guys. And they have some really positive things to say about Lombard Jr., especially his defense and his arm strength. We've all seen the bat. And he had some less encouraging things to say about Spencer Jones and about Jasson Dominguez's defense. I had our guy Frankie Baseball pull a couple of clips that we can listen to, and we'll talk through it, and then we will get to your voicemails. Let's begin with George Lombard Jr.
And I made some phone calls yesterday regarding what scouts are seeing in Tampa for Yankee spring training. And I got some interesting things that these people told me. Let's start with George Lombard Jr. So everybody's dreaming big right now because Lombard looks really, really good. Now, he's 19 years old. He's a first-round draft pick for the Yankees. He has DNA in the major leagues. His dad is a bench coach. He was a 6-year major leaguer for the he's a bench coach for the Tigers, but he was a 6-year major leaguer, kind of bounced around. So the kid's been around baseball, and he looks stronger than he did last year. He's hit a couple of home runs. According to a couple of scouts that I spoke to, he's a plus defender. Right now, today, on March 5th, he could play Major League shortstop. That's how good he is. Right now, today, he could play Major League second base.
That's encouraging.
And right now, today, he could play Major League third base. Not just serviceably, but at a high plus defensive level. That's how good he is. Great feet, great range, really good arm. One scout told me he is the equal defensively to Anthony Volpe right now. And Anthony Volpe's a Gold Glove winner 2 years ago. So to say he's the equal and he's 19 years old, that's pretty darn good. Now, he's not taking Anthony Volpe's job. He might end up at third base maybe sometime next year.
So I've been saying Lombard Jr. for third base next year. He's obviously put himself in the driver's seat to be able to accomplish that. Now, he's still got to go out there and do it. Last year, in his first real taste of pro ball, his first extended taste, as you saw, he only hit .231, but his OPS was over 800. But he was 18 years old, and the defense is something that a lot of people have to work through in the minor leagues. A lot of times, guys' bats are ahead of their defense. His defense, probably because he comes from a baseball lineage and has been playing his whole life, he's very comfortable. So that's really promising to hear. Now, I've seen a lot of people say, should we, just throw caution to the wind, do what the Angels do, and call this kid up to begin the season? They're not going to do that. You can set somebody back by overexposing them. They need to let him develop in the minor leagues. But if he comes out and mashes this year, as soon as they think the bat is ready, you're going to see him. And given that he's got such a good head on his shoulders, he's a good kid, good clubhouse, I think they're going to be aggressive with moving him. He's not somebody that they have to acclimate to the culture. He's going to be, he's used to being around big leaguers. So they said on the broadcast last night, or 2 nights ago, that, he was taking infield ground balls with pros, major leaguers, and looked every bit as comfortable and every bit as solid. So I'm loving what we're hearing about Lombard. It was less encouraging what he had to say about Spencer Jones.
So Spencer Jones.
Wrong one.
So then I started to sniff around, speaking about young players, because we've been getting a lot of phone calls of late. The Yankees, why don't they use Spencer Jones? And I keep saying he's not ready. Now, I haven't been down there. I've watched the games on TV that Yes has. But I want to see, because his numbers are really good in spring training. Has he closed up the hole in a swing? Because if you look at his numbers in the minors last year, wow, a lot of swing and miss ability in there. Almost half the at-bats he struck out.
200 Ks.
And one scout told me, no, he's still the same. He still has holes to close up. He is probably not a viable option for the Yankees in 2025. He's got a world of physical talent. He's got speed. He could play center field with anybody. He could steal 40 bases if he could get on enough. Now, he's got power when he runs into the ball, but he doesn't run into the ball enough. So probably not an option for this year.
Well, that's kind of what I suspected. Spencer Jones still having holes in his swing is a little bit concerning. And it just goes to show you that having similar mechanics to someone else doesn't necessarily automatically make you as good a hitter as them. You're not going to turn him into Aaron Judge just by having him copy Aaron Judge's mechanics. I've been saying that the comparison between Judge and Jones has always been unfair. And this year when they, made that viral video that showed, his swing next to Judge's swing, kind of the mirror images of each other, I thought that was unfair. There's so much more to hitting than just mechanics. Timing. Having an approach at the plate and not just winging it. Rhythm. Confidence. Bernie Williams played the guitar. Paul O'Neill was a drummer. Both of these guys were excellent contact hitters. If I were a professional hitter trying to get better, I would take up music as a hobby. You don't have to perform any concerts, but just to improve your rhythm. Something to consider. But he has looked noticeably different this spring. He looks a lot like Aaron Judge did in 2016, the year before he broke out. I do like that he's crouching a little bit more because that makes his strike zone a little bit smaller. Okay, now let's hear what Michael Kay had to say about the March, and this one's a little bit longer, so I might trim it off a little bit early.
The one question I've had throughout the spring, and I've articulated on the show a lot, I don't get the Yankees playing Jasson Dominguez in left field. I don't get it. Why wouldn't you have him be comfortable and have him play center field, where he's played center field for most of his minor league career? So when I made these phone calls yesterday, I said, I got to find out, because Boone's not explaining it to me. He keeps saying, I don't want to mess around when we play Trent Grisham. And, okay, that doesn't sound to me copacetic, but that's the public stance that he's taken, which doesn't make any sense, because I think it's so important for this guy to be the real deal offensively for the Yankees that you want to make him comfortable. Well, I spoke to somebody who actually covered him in the minor leagues. I told you I made a lot of phone calls. And the answer shocked me. And he said to me, "Are you an idiot?" That was to me. And I've been asked that a lot in my life. And I said, what do you mean, well, am I an idiot? He can't play center either. What? Yeah, he's not a good center fielder. So what you see in left, it's the same thing you're going to see in center. So the Yankees obviously have to make a decision. What's more important for them? To have a plus defender in center or a plus defender in left? And they're choosing center, who's covering both of the gaps. Now, at Yankee Stadium, the left fielder is a little bit more important than at, let's say, Fenway or Minute Maid Park or whatever the case may be where they're short left fields. But they'd much rather have a big-time center fielder like a Grisham or a Bellinger who's really good out there than they would putting the kid. He's just not a good outfielder right now.
So, from what Michael Kay said, Dominguez has some work to do in the outfield, according to the scouts. This is something that we know. It's evident from watching it. I think he's going to be a premier offensive player, and let's just hope that with reps, he gets better at left. I think he would be better off between two Gold Glove winners. Well, I don't think Judge would want a Gold Glove, but two Gold Glove caliber outfielders. You put Judge in right, you put Cody Bellinger in left. And then you have, if you need late inning defense, Trent Grisham to come off the bench, and he's a premier outfielder. Let's say Dominguez hits in, the 8th or 9th inning. The game is tied, it goes to extras, but you got another trip through the order, right, with the Manfred man. So the game's probably not going to go another inning or 2 or 3. It's going to end pretty soon. You want to tighten up the D. Then you put Grisham in. I disagree with Dominguez playing left field. I think left field is a tougher position than center field for the Yankees. It just is. You got the deep outfield, but you've also got the corner. It's basically like center field with a corner. It's tough. And for a not good defender, it's going to be even tougher. All right, we got some voicemails here. First one is on Spencer Jones.
So Spencer Jones has been playing well lately, and people have pointed out that he's copying Aaron Judge's mechanics. I was wondering if this has changed your expectations for him.
So I've been pretty vocal in being skeptical of Spencer Jones because of the strikeout rate. Loved him up until last season I saw the strikeout rate. I can't say that I'm a whole lot more optimistic having listened to what I just listened to, but scouts can be wrong, and my eyes tell me he has gotten better. The leg kick is obviously a little bit closer to where Aaron Judge was a few years ago. He's clearly moving in that direction, but like I said, there's so much more to hitting. Got another call about Spencer Jones.
Yeah, Derek, I wasn't sure that Spencer Jones deserved all the talk before spring training started, but the more he continues to play, the more talk I think he might need to get, because he is killing the baseball right now. And from what I understand, he's a pretty good fielder as well.
He's an excellent fielder. And the thing that I've noticed with Spencer Jones, and this doesn't help when your problem is not making contact, I want to add. When he does make contact, the power is effortless. It's very much like Aaron Judge. We saw him take just a couple of, like if you were sweeping your porch, right? Or, you've got some glass in the kitchen and that you've dropped, and you don't want to throw it all over the place. So you're just kind of lightly sweeping. That's the kind of power. And he swings like that, and the ball goes 430 feet. He's got legit light tower power, but got to make more contact.
Hey, Derek, it's Elliot from Nashville. I'm just curious what George Lombard Jr. has to do for the rest of the spring to make the opening day roster. I don't think he's going to do it kind of no matter what, but in this ideal world, what would he have to do? Thanks.
I mean, it would have to be a series of events like in that episode of The Simpsons where the 9 different players fall off the face of the earth or have 9 different calamities. Ozzie Smith gets sucked into that Twilight Zone portal thing. Jose Canseco gets stuck dragging appliances out of a burning building. I don't think there's any way that it would happen. And the reason that I know this is that we saw Jasson Dominguez do the same thing several years ago. when Dominguez was coming up through the minor leagues, he absolutely torched spring training. It seemed like every day he was hitting another home run. And they were bombs. And he looked so comfortable. And he was looking good in the outfield at that point. This is obviously pre-surgery. And the Yankees still sent him to the minor leagues. I think that even if Lombard dominates for spring training, if he hits 450 with 5 more home runs, he's still going to start the year in either high A or double A. Double A would be a nice jump for that kid. That would be a good test. But I don't see any way that he can be on the opening day roster.
Hi, Derek. Steve Sprangle here, calling from Maine. I've got a controversial suggestion. You're not going to agree with it, but I'd like you to think it over. We keep talking about this window that we're going to miss with the peak of Judge and the peak of Garrett Cole and even Volpe. But we don't act as though the window is closing. Here's my suggestion. We've got to trade George Lombard Jr. I know everyone's crazy about him. He's looking great. He's looking like a legitimate all-star. But when do we ever trade a player at the peak of his value instead of on the way down? Look what we could have gotten for Jones last year or the year before when he was lighting up the league. Lombard looks fantastic. Other scouts know it. Time to trade him to get the piece or pieces we need for this year. Okie doke. Thank you, sir.
While I appreciate your enthusiasm for wanting the Yankees to win, and I understand the logic of moving a prospect for a missing piece, there's really only one response to this, and I mean this in a very respectful way.
Don't smoke crack.
Okay, let's move on. This one is about Peraza.
Hey, Derek, this is Matt from Morristown, New Jersey. I watched your most recent episode, and I couldn't agree with you more of putting Oswald Peraza at third base. The fact that he is out of options, I think if they end up releasing him or something of the sort, other prospects will definitely see that. And this guy was in the top 100, in 2022. And other Yankee prospects are going to see the way they treated Peraza. And you think they want to stay with the team? I mean, let's be real here. Thanks, Derek. Keep up the good work. Bye.
I appreciate the call. I do think that because the Yankees are so active in free agency and trades, a lot of times prospects can get stuck if they don't excel right away in every opportunity. But they are given opportunities. Peraza had an opportunity to win the shortstop job a couple of years ago, and he hit under 200 in spring training. If he had hit 350 with a few home runs and played great defense, maybe he wins the shortstop job. Or maybe he wins one of the other infield jobs and they trade Gleyber Torres early. The fact that he is a right-handed hitter with pop, and the Yankees are going to have some trouble against lefties because their two best hitters against lefties after Aaron Judge were Gleyber Torres and Juan Soto, and they're both off the team now. They're going to have trouble with lefties. Giancarlo Stanton, not going to be around for a while. I think it's valuable to have a young right-hand hitter with pop, and I want him on the team. But I do think that prospects could get a little bit disheartened, if they see too many guys get stuck. But I appreciate the call.
Hi, Derek. This is Patrick. I'm a huge fan of your podcast. I'm actually a Yankees fan from Boston, and I know I get a lot of crap up here, but
Enemy territory.
I represent the Yankees in spirit. I was just wondering, why don't they, the Yankees Oswaldo Cabrera and Oswald Peraza are not the future at third base. They should just go with George Lombard Jr. He has shown spunk. He's shown power in his bat. I would just go with him. The Yankees, I feel, are just wasting Judge's prime years by not going in for the kill like the Dodgers. Anyway, thanks again, Derek. I really appreciate all the hard work you do. You have a great show. Have a good one.
I appreciate the call. Like I said, too young to do that. I could see him being the starting third baseman next year. And if he breezes through the minors, sure, you might see him. I doubt it. But he hasn't had any at-bats above, I think, either low A or high A. Definitely not above A ball. He hasn't played double A baseball yet. And a lot of people say Double A is the biggest jump because not only do the pitchers throw more strikes, but that's when you see the really good breaking balls. And then Triple A is more guys who are 4A players and things like that. A lot of the best prospects are at Double A. If he goes to Double A and in June he's hitting 360 with 13 home runs, I mean, you're going to have to consider bringing him up. Go look at what Juan Soto did in the minor leagues when he was 19. By the way, we got some comments here. People saying that Andy Martino said that Juan Soto misses the Yankees. Oh, that's too bad. Well, then maybe he should have taken the $760 million they offered his ass.
I'm just breaking your balls a little bit, that's all.
All right, we got a couple more.
Oh, hi, Derek. This is Hugh from Bay Ridge in Brooklyn. And I have an idea for a segment. I'm looking at my YouTube right now, and I'm seeing all these phony shows on the Yankees. You get these leading headlines, like I'm looking at one now, contract signed for 3 years. Mike Trout signs 3-year deal with surprising team. And there's a picture of the Yankee logo in the right-hand corner, actually his left-hand corner. And I can't believe there's actually people that look at these shows. And this is not unusual. There are other, what I would call phony posters. And I thank God for your show. Your show is very credible. You don't get into nonsense like that. So I'm wondering if you might have a comment on those types of shows. I don't know if you know these guys or not, but I'm certainly not looking at these shows.
I appreciate it. So the posters, or what you're calling them, are called YouTube thumbnails, right? And a lot of these creators are people who aren't even like baseball fans or even from America. They're basically using AI to try and create videos around topics that are popular. But what they do is they pollute the landscape, right? Now, usually that type of stuff will sort itself out because people will click, they'll discover it's crap, and they'll leave. And that's called a bounce, right? It's if you have a high bounce rate, a low engagement, then your channel's not going to do well. I always try and give you guys the honest truth. That's redundant. You can't have the honest truth. I try and tell you guys what I'm really thinking and be honest with you. Even if sometimes I could take advantage of the size of this channel and clickbait and probably get a bazillion clicks and make a lot of money off of it, it would hurt my reputation, and it is not ethical. I try and run this channel in an ethical manner, and that's why we've grown, and that's why, if you look at our statistics, people watch for like 10, 12, 13 minutes, which is actually pretty high for a YouTube channel, depending on the type of content we're putting out. But, I appreciate you saying the channel's credible. I work very hard on that, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you very much. All right, final call of the night.
Hey, Derek. Ethan here. I mean, everybody's talking about a leadoff hitter, but I don't think I've heard this name be brought up in the leadoff spot before. Austin Wells. I definitely think that this guy is standout leadoff hitter here. He got on base.
I appreciate it. I'm going to stop here because the volume's a little bit low. So, two things. Aaron Boone has put Wells in the leadoff spot multiple times already this spring, and he said that I guess it was either during a game where they interviewed him on the sideline or it was after the game. He said that he isn't afraid to use Austin Wells in the leadoff spot. However, not a lot of teams are ballsy enough to use their catcher in the leadoff spot. Catchers are slow. You got to have a little bit of speed. Although, in front of Aaron Judge, who knows? But you'd like the guy to be able to go first to third. I guess he does have a little bit of speed. He stole some bags, but a catcher wears down over the course of the season. I'd rather have Austin Wells in like the number 5 or 6 hole. I don't remember where I have him in my exact lineup. Let me pull it up. And this is... so I've got him in the number 5 spot, and I think that, his power plays there. I think that he would essentially become protection for whoever is in the number 4 spot, probably Goldschmidt, And I think he's going to be a 20-ish home run guy. But I don't love him in the leadoff spot. And by the way, they're saying Ben Rice is more and more likely to be the DH, the way he's been swinging the bat. And you see, I still got a spot open here for the backup catcher. It's looking like Escara's turning a lot of heads. So that's where we're at right now. All right, just a reminder, get Pinstripe Territory on the go. Download on all your favorite podcast platforms. Call in. We're going to be doing voicemails all the time. I just bought a new computer. The M4 Max Studio came out today, and I got it, and it's going to be here next week. We upgraded the microphone and the audio interface, so we add this score in the background. So I've got to make a lot of videos to pay for all this shit. A lot of very ethical videos, the most ethical videos. We're going to make a lot of ethical videos with no clickbait, and we're going to pay for all of this stuff that I put into this room. But appreciate all your calls. We're going to do a post-game show tomorrow, Garrett Cole on the mound, and then Friday night we're going to do a show after the game. Not necessarily a post-game show, but an after-the-game show with Terrence Kem, my guy out there in L.A., Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, get your pet spayed or neutered. We'll see you next time. Hey, while I've got you here, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Pinstripe Territory is the official Yankees podcast of the Foul Territory Network. We are home to the #1 most watched MLB postgame show on YouTube since 2021. We're here after every Yankees game and for reactions to all the best news and rumors during the offseason. Be a part of the show by calling into the voicemail 718-899-1068. Try to keep it clean for me. And if you ever miss us on YouTube, be sure and subscribe on all your favorite podcast platforms. Go ahead and rate us 5 stars. It'll help other people find the show. Thanks for watching. See ya.